Hey everybody, and welcome to what is going to be a quite random adventure, I suppose, if you want to call it that. Yesterday we were at Paulton's Park, so there's tons of videos that by the time you see this one, either I've already put them up, or I'll still be putting them up, or they're about to be put up, but stay tuned for my channel to my channel to have a look at those once they are up and running, because they're really, really good fun. My camera work on that was particularly dodgy, though the settings were not correct. However, hopefully today they'll be a little bit better. So we are back at Eartham Woods. So this is a bit of a combination of some hometown fun, and also it's a little bit of a kind of, I suppose, an entry to the odd sci-files. So there's potentially going to be a few spooky things along the way, a couple of sites that are known to be sort of supposedly haunted, a few historical areas as well, and just some really random bits and pieces. There's going to be some Roman roads, some World War II memorials, and probably a load of really random things between there and when we get back. So it's a bit of a hike. We're going to basically keep going until my legs don't want to do anymore. I'm aiming for 20,000 steps. We'll see how we go. So join me. Starting out at the bottom of Stane Street, which is the old Roman road, which we'll get onto a little later on. But along the way, you always kind of see these signposts with these little yellow circles on them that say the Monarch's Way. So the Monarch's Way is basically marking out the escape route for, I think, King Charles. I want to say King Charles II, whichever king it was that lost the Civil War, and this was his escape route where he fled to France after he lost again, I think, the Battle of Worcester. I'm not sure, my memory's not so great. Never actually got taught any of this at school, so it's kind of just stuff I've picked up along the way. But yeah, this was how he managed to flee the country. Got another one of these circles, but on this side actually got an explanation for it. So the Monarch's Way, 615-mile walking trail. That's a long way. Following the escape of Charles II after the Battle of Worcester in 1651. So after the Battle of Worcester, which I think was the decisive battle of the Civil War, the king lost and had to basically flee the country before he lost his head. So from Worcester all the way down to Shoreham by sea to get on a boat to flee for France. 615 miles. And he was basically on foot or a horse, if he was lucky, and having to hide every night in whatever lodgings he could find, whatever sympathisers that he had. And somewhere along the route is a pub called the Royal Oak, and a lot of pubs are called the Royal Oak, and that is because on one night when soldiers were hunting him down, he had to hide in an oak tree overnight before they caught him. So that's where the name Royal Oak comes from. A little bit of history. reaching this little crossroads here. That's back the way we came, down there. So you've got the beginning of Stane Street back towards Chichester. Don't know where that goes. That goes back up to like the main bridle path, and this carries on up Stane Street. So Stane Street was built by the Romans about 2,000 years ago-ish. And this is kind of what's left of it. You can probably tell when I'm walking along and trying to film it, it is not flat at all. It is stony, really bumpy. And it would have been back then as well. The only advantage for Romans building these streets, these roads that they're so well known for, they're not flat, they just don't get flooded, they don't get muddy. That's why they did it, so that the wheels of their carts and their trailers don't get stuck in the mud for wherever they're going. But at the time, if you carried on all the way up there, you would eventually get to London, and all the way back down that way is Chichester. So all the way from Eastgate at Chichester all the way to London would be Stane Street. There's not a lot of it left now, it's basically just this bit, and then outside of Eartham Woods, between here and London, you might get some guard stations, what's left of them, foundations mostly, ruins. Some kind of helicopter buzzing around up there, which is kind of annoying. Speaking of noise though, it is so disconcerting when you're walking along and you're on your own, and either side of you can hear animals moving around, and you kind of don't know whether to try and spot them in case it's a cool animal of some kind. We've seen deer here before. Or you don't know if you should just walk faster because it might be something scary. So speaking of scary things, I mentioned that we might have some kind of spooky stuff along the way. So back at the very beginning of Stane Street, all the way down there, and then some, the beginning of Stane Street starts at Eastgate in Chichester, where at the moment there is a restaurant in a very famous building for local people that is supposedly very haunted. It's currently a restaurant. Before that it was, I think, like a newspaper company was based in there. But it's built on, this is no joke, it was actually built on the site of what was a Roman burial ground. Of all the places to stick a building, that should really have been the last resort. I think it was known as the Argus building before it became a restaurant. If you Google it and look for like Argus building Chichester haunted, you definitely would find it. And there's a lot of paranormal investigators have gone in ghost hunting and all that kind of thing. A lot of stories come from there. You know, if the Romans built this like 2,000 odd years ago, a lot of history. And it does give a bit of an eerie vibe, especially when you're on your own. And the woods either side of this path are so dark you can't really see what's in there, and stuff's rustling around like crazy. Mostly birds, maybe a few mice scurrying away. Actually don't know what way to go. Looks as though if you want to follow Monarch way, you go that way, I guess. And Slendon is behind me somewhere. East Dean, up Waltham, Madehurst. Can't even read that one. Bignor. So I don't quite know which way to go. I think the main bridle path for Eartham Woods is back down that way, which, if I want to find the War Memorial, would be the way to go. I kind of want to follow the Monarch's way though. Let's go up there. That's got to be the weirdest looking tree trunk I've ever seen. Back way we came, back there's that gate that we went through. And it kind of just keeps going. Between the trees looks really nice and sunny, but there are some big black clouds over there, so let's keep going. This is also really not flat. I don't think we're on Stane Street anymore. Oh, we could be. Doesn't say anywhere. Stane Street is not marked on any of these routes whatsoever. But we're still on Monarch's Way, so great views. Finally found another marker. Looks like we're going that way. I kind of think that we need to be in those woods over there, because that's, I'm pretty sure the War Memorial is the other side where the World War II bomber crashed. I wanted to check out the memorial for that, but let's get up the top there and see what we can see. I am not as fit as I used to be. There's a deer. I don't know if you can see it. 2 deer. Must have heard me running away. And down that way, I don't think you'll be able to see it, but there are some sheep on the path. So I think we're going to meet them in a minute. But how's that for a view? You can actually see over there. May not be able to pick it up on camera. I'm pretty sure you can see the Isle of Wight today, which means it's nice and clear over there. Also means we're quite high on the ground. So that's back the way we came. Eartham Woods is essentially there. I'm still hoping that at some point we carry on this way, it's going to meet up with that tree line. Clouds rolling in. So we are still on Monarch's Way, but we do have a slight sheep problem. Path literally goes straight up that way, and they're kind of eating the grass. I'm hoping they're just going to ignore me or walk away. But it's that time of year when some of them might be quite young. The mothers probably wouldn't take me too kindly to walking past them. Don't really know what they're going to do. Really want to get to the end of that field though, so let's give it a go. Finally made it back to the tree line. These sheep are just absolutely everywhere. Every path, all over the place. And they just stare at you, which is quite unnerving. And I thought as we came through that gate there that I wasn't going to see anymore, and yet there they are. So, check out the sign. That's back the way we came from Monarch's Way. Around this side we could go, I'm guessing, down there and not up there. I think that's pointing that way. Yeah, I think I can see the circles on that gate of the Monarch's Way, so that carries on that way. We're going to go back down there though, back towards the bridle path, and hopefully try and find that war memorial. Bye sheep. How's this for a view? You definitely won't be able to see it on camera, but right is sort of there-ish. You can just about make out the wind turbines that are on Worthing seafront, out into the channel. Over on this side, I think just behind those trees, you'd be able to see the Isle of Wight. And right about there is where I met the sheep. Came all the way through there. That is quite some view. Found a bench in the middle of kind of nowhere along this path. Finally made it back to the tree line. In loving memory of Jan Taylor, known as Cookie, an inspiring businesswoman, actor, friend, mother and grandmother. She loved walking up here. I love the bench, but you can't really make most of the view unless you're about 10 feet tall. These plants, I don't know, weeds, whatever they are, kind of obscuring that amazing view. Quite glad to be back under the trees. It's getting really, really hot and sunny going along that path. And now back in the shade. I'm going to find this war memorial, which is down here, and then off to the right somewhere. We're almost at 10,000 steps as well, so be time for a bit of a break, have a snack, have a drink. Do that in a second. Finally found the war memorial. It's just up here. This what just looks like a big pile of stones is actually a memorial right here, and then there's the actual thing. So this is the site where a Douglas C-47B Skytrain Dakota 27th Transport Group of the US Air Force crashed on the 11th of February 1945 with the loss of life of all the crew. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 people died. Stranger when passing, remember, if it was not for heroes like these, we would not be here today. Quite amazing, really. From what I've read, I don't know if they were damaged coming back over France, or I think it was just bad weather that caused their plane to come down right here. And not that it's not tragic enough already, but at least they landed, you know, no houses, not a residential area or a city. Which I dare say was some very heroic flying that day. And one of the reasons I refer to this sometimes as the Witch's Woods is because of this sort of structure thing. There used to be one over on this side, down there, quite far down there, just like this, but on the other one, which has since been demolished while all the forestry work's been going on, I found there were 2 sticks on the ground in the shape of a cross that had red tape holding them together, or red string, I think it was tape. And it took me ages and ages to sort of do some research to try to find out what it was, because it just gave me a bit of a vibe. I didn't want to touch it, and it's taken me a long time through going through books and online, and it could have been some sort of witch's spell. Apparently, if you have 2 sticks in the shape of a cross held together with red string or twine, or maybe even tape, it's some sort of protection spell, or used in a protection spell, warding off some kind of negativity, I guess. And it was right outside the entrance to like one of these structures, and I don't know what these structures are. Reminds me of Bigfoot, but you're not going to get any of those around here. So since then, because we also found 2 others that were hanging from a tree, pretty much near the top of this bridle path. And I don't know, there's just something about it. I didn't want to touch it, didn't want to pick it up. I wondered if, since then, it was over there where the forestry work is being done. Maybe somebody was trying to protect the trees, maybe? I don't know. But ever since then, these weird structure things, whatever they are, whatever they're for, kind of creep me out. And that's when I started to do a bit more reading about where it is, Eartham Woods, and what its history is, and found out all about like the Roman road and King Charles' escape route. Apparently it does have a bit of a reputation for being occasionally a bit of a scary place. It does have some darker corners to it which do feel a bit funny. But obviously you've got a very haunted location at one end of Stane Street, with this runs straight through the middle of it. King Charles' escape route obviously was after the Battle of Worcester, where like hundreds of people have died. The Roman road itself of Stane Street is like 2,000 years old. Loads of history, loads of stories. A well-known haunted location at one end. London at the other, and everything in between. And then weird things like this. With, yeah, strange weird symbols and markings outside them, either on the floor or hanging up. Also, we're at about 14,000 steps now, so we're nearly done. Another one of these weird structures over here, just as we get to the exit back to the car. So we've made it to the end. Not quite 20,000 steps, but nearly. Did 18,000 in Portons yesterday, so I kind of figure I've done enough, and my legs do hurt. So well done if you made it to the end. Thank you for joining me, thank you for watching, and see you soon.